ცენტრალური საარჩევნო კომისიის ვებგვერდის სერვერებზე შეტევები ხორციელდება.
პარლამენტის ვებგვერდი პარალიზებული.
სამინისტროს ოფიციალური ვებგვერდი
ჰაკერებმა საქართველოს პარლამენტის ინტერნეტ გვერდი გატეხეს.
Russian-Georgian war that took place in 2008 was the first instance of cyber war and has since been recognized as such by the international community. Initially, the war started in August, though the cyber attacks took place earlier in June. Some cyber attacks were carried out on the official site of the President of Georgia, as well as DOS attacks on the websites of governmental organizations. During the cyber war, a number of attacks have been detected. Among them were governmental websites, including the official site of the President of Georgia, as well as websites of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Defense were compromised. Besides that, the major informational websites were also affected. As a result, their channels become congested, and it became impossible to spread the information from Georgia to Europe. Let me remind you that only a few communication sources flow from outside to Georgia. That's why it became possible to outflow information as a big amount of internet traffic was flown from Russia and its supporters to Georgia.
В боевых действиях Южной Осетии погибли около 2000 мирных жителей.
В правительстве сообщили журналистам, что ведут переговоры с российской стороной об открытии гуманитарного коридора.
At that time, Georgia was not well developed in the field of information technology, and cyber attacks were not so crucial, though it still had an impact on Georgia's reality. For instance, Georgia had to turn off its banking and electronic systems. The attack was significant, and there were a risk of compromising the sustainability of such critical infrastructures as the Ministry of the Finances, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Internal Affairs, and etc. During this period of time, Estonian and Polish governments were actively involved in supporting the provision of cybersecurity in Georgia. Estonian side supported us greatly. They backed up some of our Georgian informational and governmental websites to their internet space. We can say they took responsibility of handling some of the cyber attacks as well. According to my information, initially the official site of the President of Georgia was backed up to the US website. Later on, Estonia had the initiative to assist us and to eradicate the damages in our critical infrastructure system. Approximately by August 10 or 11, Georgian informational channels started to work without obstacles. As various researches showed, by that time it was already acknowledged by the professionals that the cyber attacks were planned and well organized. From the beginning, Estonian government was trying to support Georgia on the international level. As I know, Estonians arrived to Georgia for this purpose. A number of meetings and consultations were held in order to find out the ways of retaining the data and protecting the critical infrastructure of Georgia. Considering the fact that this kind of support is crucial for Georgia, we often conduct meetings in order to make the cybersecurity reliable and more secure. Cybersecurity Bureau was established in 2014. The aim of the Bureau is the protection of the critical infrastructure of the defense sphere. This Bureau is responsible for the country's cyber capabilities and cyber defense. Estonia's support was very substantial at the very initial stage of Cybersecurity Bureau development, since no such institution existed in the defense sphere of Georgia, and their partnership remains of utmost importance. Assistance of such experienced partner on the very initial phase of development is very important, as you have a greater chance of achieving success when you have such colleagues supporting you. Bureau is working on several projects. One of them is the Cyber Reserve project, which intends to involve a highly qualified IT professionals from private sector to work with the specialists from public sector, ensuring national cybersecurity. Another project aims to retrain the soldiers, those who were wounded both in international missions and Georgia-Russian war that took place in 2008. Along with this project, Ministry of Defense is working on the implementing the so-called ISO 27000 security standard in defense system. All this work is done in order to strengthen the cybersecurity system in Georgia. Estonians have been our biggest supporters since the establishment of the Cybersecurity Bureau. With their organization, facilitation, promotion and expert support, the concepts as well as the policy for the Cybersecurity Bureau were elaborated. It must be mentioned that they still support Georgia. Georgia-Estonia relations in the field of cybersecurity began several years ago. On the initial phase of collaboration, we started to work on roadmap, which later developed into conducting different trainings and conferences, where almost all cyber actors were involved. Likewise, Estonia's support is significant when it comes to the establishment of the cyber hygiene. With their organizational support, several special cyber exercises were conducted, which are important for our development process. These trainings were delivered by qualified experts who had already gained some experience of working in this field. The scenario of the exercise was very close to the actual cyber challenges we face in our everyday reality. For instance, in one of the trainings, so-called strategic decision-making exercise in cybersecurity, some of the cases were provided on the basis of the events which took place during the Russia-Georgia war in 2008. Today, Georgia is much more dependent on the informational technologies. That means that we are more actively using different means of communications. So if cyber attack of such magnitude would conducted against Georgia would cause more serious problems. Other actors which are involved in the cybersecurity issues on national level are Cybercrime Investigation Division of the Central Criminal Police Department of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, which is covering the cybercrime, Data Exchange Agency of the Ministry of Justice, which is responsible for the cybersecurity of public sector, and State Security Service of Georgia, which is working on the secret section. If we take into consideration the projects Estonia implemented in this direction, we can say that it gave us an excellent opportunity to improve the cyber defense capabilities and to achieve success in a short period of time. They shared their experience with us, pointed out the mistakes we should not have made. This is the reason why we effectively achieved success in a relatively short time and gave us an opportunity to improve our cyber capabilities. Georgia, as a small country, has sufficient potential to compete and respond to the enemies, which in reality might be much stronger than us. From my point of view, the progress which Georgia has made is significant. Achievements are also great, though there are some issues that still could be improved. We are very glad that our programs, as well as support from other donors, help Georgia to develop its cyber potential. The role of Estonia is really very important and useful. This is the country which is a world's leader in this field. Estonia has its own experience and it was the object of cyber attacks in 2007, and they have acknowledged how important it is to develop the cyber defense in the country.
Cybersecurity is extremely important, even critical for Georgia in its integration process with NATO. Because as Georgia becomes closer to NATO, we have, of course, the need to be able to securely communicate with each other, to be able to exchange information. And we also need to have the confidence that Georgian institutions, particularly the defense and security institutions, are secure. that their information is secure from penetration from enemy organizations or those who would like to either find out what Georgia is doing in their relationship with NATO or to use that information against Georgia. So NATO is supporting the development of cybersecurity procedures and institutions with the government of Georgia, principally with the Ministry of Defense. And the Cybersecurity Bureau it was established in 2014 and has come a long way in their procedures and the development of an organization that can provide both technical support to defense institutions, particularly Ministry of Defense, and to provide training for Ministry of Defense officials. So both of these things are extremely important because a lot of the vulnerabilities that come from cyber threats are based on simple mistakes from people that work in the ministry. Their lack of not following procedures, for example, and this is something that affects every country that has a cybersecurity threat. So we work with the Ministry of Defense and in very close coordination with the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence in Estonia, and through the NATO Professional Development Program, for example, we have worked with the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence and brought in expertise to help look at the establishment of the Cybersecurity Bureau, and then use this expertise to conduct training for Cybersecurity Bureau officials.
It's very important to have international assistance. The best practices, the experience. Estonia is particularly well placed in this regard because of their own, not only because of their own the experience with cyber security issues at home, but because they're already strong bilateral relations with Georgia. It's already begun to bear positive fruit, with the creation of the Cybersecurity Bureau and the creation of the capacities in the cyber domain. International assistance, expertise, and contributions is very important, not just because of those bilateral relations, but also throughout NATO, the different countries, different allies have different capabilities that they can contribute to create. Because here in Georgia, as you know, you've been starting from the ground up. A couple years ago, it was starting from scratch. And so Georgia has an opportunity with the assistance and contribution of other countries to build everything right from the beginning. In our cases, in the more technologically advanced allied countries, we've had to superimpose cyber solutions on existing systems and structures and things like that. So in Georgia, it's very good to be able to use the contributions from the lessons learned from others to build it right from the beginning. And I think between the Estonian contribution and the Georgian momentum and energy in continuing to develop in the cyber domain, you've got a very good start going. I have to tell you, I'm very impressed by everything that I've seen and heard in our interactions with the Cyber Defense Bureau. In particular, what I just referred to, the fact that although there's not a permanent Estonian cyber expert here to work through the Substantial NATO Georgia Package initiative on cyber, the Georgian side are continuing to do their own. They're reaching out. They are making the changes and the advancements on their own with inputs from outside. And so, yes, I would definitely say you're on a good track.